My name is Yair Cleper. I'm a founder of Lava Network. We're building a modular infrastructure supporting any RPC APIs straight from the browser. So let's kick it off. What about serverless? Right, it's a concept that constantly we've been promised since the beginning of Web3. But once all the Web2 infrastructure are supporting the following logos and players, does it really serverless? So let me take you to the amazing project we've seen today and protocols that building RPC. RPC basically is the remote procedure call, is the basic layer that we can interact immediately with the blockchain itself, right? Read, write data straight from the browser. But all these projects, right, are promising us that they have a serverless component, that from Lens protocol to Twilio, and this all bring us serverless infrastructure. But what I would like to talk to you about today is that this is a myth. Every indexer, every RPC provider, sequencer, they're all actually centralized. None of them is straight from the browser, and every dApp today, especially in the multi-chain world we live in, all believe in, are actually running their own nodes, running their own servers. And we see that across super and many different dApps today, from wallets, DEXs, SEXs, everyone today, when you open your wallet, you are going through an RPC call, which is not really serverless. So what is the options now? When 1,000 more chains going to appear, we see all this immense amount of L2s and rollups. We see that you'll need more data. More and more data means we need a much more scalable infrastructure. And those are the options today, the possibilities. How do you get access to this data? So if there is a new chain coming up, you need to run a new RPC node to support it. But is it practical? There are three ways today that everyone here is using the data. One of them is to run their own nodes. The second is to query the public RPC of every ecosystem. Every ecosystem supports public RPC, its rate limit, and honestly today we all know that this is kind of the backyard of every ecosystem. Because nobody wants to support it. Usually you have contracts that are locking down the ecosystem for a long time. And at the end of the day, the rewards are being spent and split at the end of the month, not because of the quality of service. The last way to get the data is obviously to use the amazing centralized provider. And we see a shift here. Every centralized provider almost is going into a decentralized way, much more secure. But if we all remember the principle of blockchain, running your own node means a permissionless way to get your access, to know that it is actually accurate, to have your privacy, and not to have single point of failure. This is not what we're having today. Moxie said, and help us understand that we want to build Lava, no one today wants to run his own server. Nobody wants to run his own node. And the fragmented ecosystem that we have today in blockchain doesn't help us to scale. Those are the amazing first pioneers that really reduced the barrier to entry. Right? They said something very simple. Don't run their own node. We're going to do it for you. But when you know today that there are enterprises, and at the end of the day, they need to show profit, everyone is choosing, according to his business, what to support. Alchemy supports 9 chains. Infra supports 14 chains, and so forth. So it's not really sustainable. What we believe in, Celestia, we take it for the credit from Celestia, is modularism, not maximalism. So we thought about a way to build infrastructure like Legos. Anytime that somebody is spinning a new chain, anyone from the community can come and simply build the specific APIs, the specific specs for that. And this is what is Lava. We're building a modular infrastructure that can harness the power of community. Everyone can join permissionlessly and start serving while getting the accountable for the data they serve. And at the end of the month, they receive the rewards based on the quality of service, not based on their branding. So even a small community node runner can join. And we just have an amazing example from last month. I'm going to talk about it later. So Lava introduced this concept that we call it specs. And specs can be anything. Can be a simple implementation of Ethereum, some APIs that you want to support there, any rich API that you would like to take. And everyone can build that exactly as Legos. Today, adding new spec is becoming super, super easy. And I will show you a video just in a second.
Create your credentials and log in. Using Lava SDK on the front end is rather simple, but requires the use of our gateway. Visit gateway.lavanet.xyz, create your credentials and log in. Once you've done that, you can create a project. Give your project a name. Here we'll use Start X Lava. Select the API accesses that you want. In this example, you use both StarkNet and Lava. Your project will be created. Once your project has been created, you can open your project to review what API accesses, as well as check out the endpoints that are readily available. If you want to use Lava SDK, you can click Use Lava SDK on front end and review. In reviewing, you can see how the project ID is used in the various API accesses to uniquely identify your project. This allows you to use the Lava SDK without inputting any credentials. You see that the project ID is part of the badge that you'll be giving to the Lava SDK once you instantiate it. Now we can go about the creation of our project. This project will use the API accesses we just made. The first thing that we'll need to do is actually make the project. I'll do this on my machine by creating a directory. The name of this directory will be Start Example. We're going to make sure that we're inside the directory, and then we're going to initialize it. And we'll do this using the npm init command. The npm init command gives us the opportunity to create a package.json. And then we'll npm I lavanet lava SDK. We'll use the node package manager to install Lava SDK. You can of course use yarn add command as is shown here on the gateway. Once we've installed the package, the easiness, the fun begins. So let's go ahead and get that installation started. It should only take a moment. Great, our installation looks to be successful. Now let's go.
Yeah, so it's that simple. In 5 seconds, you can install the SDK and get a peer-to-peer access straight from the browser. So what is Lava? Lava, it's an app chain built on Cosmos SDK. We wanted to allow every dApp to be able to get access to not one provider, but the top provider straight from the browser. And we're doing that, but every provider can join Lava. Run a simple Docker, 5 minutes maximum in order to sign up on Lava and start supporting nodes on every chain. Today we support 30 chains, but obviously once we're going to go mainnet, there is unlimited amount of chains that we can support. So a dApp using only one subscription in order to get access to all the universe that Lava and the provider represents. So we started by the simple query. Once they have anyone has a need to request to get some relays, immediately Lava is pairing on-chain to the best provider by region, by quality of service, and by score. This is how we ensure that there's no any middleman between the dApp and the provider, as if you were going to any centralized provider today. This is the same as how you use the Lava SDK. Once the transaction is done, Lava is signing the transaction, the dApp is signing the transaction, give it back to the provider, and the provider coming back to the chain in order to collect the rewards. Rewards are distributed once a month, and this is how we can actually take accountable each and every provider doing this route. Once we implement the session between the dApp and the provider is being done for 15 minutes, and this is allow us that if there is a downtime between the provider and the dApp, automatically we revert you to a new provider. So dApps that using Lava today actually saving up to 50% of the infra cost. And this is because they don't need anymore to be implemented and to trust their node runners, they're running their own nodes. They don't need to implement backups, disaster recovery, and so forth, and load balancer. So this is only the amount of code you need in order to implement Lava. Obviously, we're supporting the best JavaScript libraries today, Cosm, Ether, and so forth. I'm recording after the lecture to go see the docs. Super elaborated, and the team put an immense amount of work. So yeah, that's in general what is behind the Lava SDK. We implement super cool concepts from badges that are actually hiding the private key. Obviously, when you contracting and communicating peer-to-peer with the provider, there is a possibility of a leakage. So we introduced an amazing concept that's called badges. So it's actually running your own server that encrypting the key straight from the browser. There is other amazing thing like constant availability. It means that Lava is a blockchain. As a blockchain, we also can go down. But if we go down, you still have service. And we're doing that because the list of providers is being spent and being saved all the time in your SDK. So even if the Lava blockchain is down, once it's going up, provider can come back and request for the service they made. So we are live now. At the beginning of the year, we launched the first version of the testnet, and we see an amazing growth within the dozens of dApps when they use the service. And also, it's also a testnet. So we went to the best providers out there and start working with them directly in order that we make sure that this is super scalable. So we're working with Blockdaemon today, BeWell Lab, Coder, Chainstack, and a list of top providers. That's only some of the ecosystem that we support. We have currently 30 different ecosystems and counting. But the concept that we introduced just 2 months ago is the first product of Lava. You remember at the beginning I talked about public RPC. But the ecosystem started approaching us and asked us, can you replace this public RPC? So we came up with a new concept, and we call it incentivized public RPC. Basically, every ecosystem can pull rewards, and every provider can join, whether the huge providers that currently end contracts with the ecosystem, or any small node runner. From even running 1, 2, 3 nodes at your home, you can join. You're listing in 5 minutes, you're signing up to Lava, and the chain itself providing rewards to make sure that they are split equally at the end of the month according to the quality of service. So remember, we went from just contracting and race to the bottom in the RPC prices to quality of service. What you gave, what the service you got, this is what you should get rewards. The concept is already live 1 month in Axelar, in Evmos, and we just started with Axelar. We see more than 70 providers joining, providing amazing service, and actually, as I speak, the first distribution rewards should get to the providers. So we're super excited about that. It brought much higher quality of service and performance to those ecosystems, and we're just starting. We just signed with Near, and going to share more details soon. So once we understand that RPC is super important, RPC is the entry point of every ecosystem. Because developers, when there is starting to develop something on an ecosystem, any project need the RPC. So immediately they go to the public RPC. But what about APIs? What about indexing, sequences? I've seen an amazing example here in the presentation before. We can leverage that. So the next concept Lava is building is a modular API, rich API. Everyone can list his own API and start receive rewards for the API that somebody else used. Doesn't matter what's your region, where in the world, but you can add to the top of that. So one of the example we just launched is Subsquid, and I think we are a bit short with time, so I will keep the links afterwards and invite you all to join our Discord, guys. Join our Twitter and follow up because we soon gonna announce our roadmap to mainnet. Thank you.